Desiree Dubonnet here from the International Medical University. Today we have a little course about electro-osmosis. Osmosis is increased in an oscillating microcurrent electropulsed field. Now, most osmosis takes place with neutrally charged particles, water molecules, etc., but even water separates into different ionization. And this can have a big assist on detox. Now, we studied this distinctly in the electrophysiological feedback measures of interstitial fluids. If you want to learn the exacting science, today's lecture is just to give you kind of an overview. Because here at the cell membrane, things have to be able to come in and out, and it takes a process of osmosis. Water can come in through the process of osmosis, and water can go out. This is basically an idea of how the electrically charged particles of the water, and everything has an electron field around the outside of it, so everything has a type of electrical nature. But it is very strong when we have the ionization principles. Now, ATP energy is needed in order to transfer items from the extracellular fluid to inside. This is large molecules. This is beyond just the type of osmosis. And here we can see the sodium pump and the potassium pump being able to take the energy from adenosine diphosphate and be able to use it to be able to transport molecules. Sodium likes to be extracellular and potassium likes to be intracellular. Calcium likes to be on the membrane. And this is how our minerals are basically organized in order to keep that energy of life. The energy of the nerves depends on the sodium and potassium pump. Sometimes there are very large molecules that can't make it through. When we have large undigested proteins, large undigested fats, they can't get into the cell properly. So sometimes there has to have additional processes to be able to go beyond just osmosis. Here we have pinocytosis, where a small little piece is able to make a bubble in the membrane surrounds it, and here we have phagocytosis, where it's a very larger type of compound. Phagocytosis allows for the destruction of bacteria and fungus and other things. Secretory proteins also will be following through organized life processes in the cell that are electrically stimulated. In other words, they work a little bit, tiny bit better when there's a distinct, harmonious electromagnetic pulsed field. If it's too large, the cells will shield from it and it won't work. If it's too small, it won't have the effect. But with the right type of pulse, we can actually apply and get absorption of items and transfer of items more distinctly. Virtually every part of the process depends on osmosis, from detoxing to nutrition, as nutrients need to flow into the cells and toxins need to flow out of the cells. And all of this is gradually just a little bit better in a pulsed electromagnetic field. The SCIO system will be able to make a harmonious autofocused field as we send energy in and out to be able to make a harmonious type of field that maximizes this process. Here's some of the journal articles about the influence of electricity on the osmotic action. You can read much more about this in the book, but here's just some of the cover articles to give you some of the idea that electromagnetic effects happen and can be enhanced. This happens only at very distinct, very low electric fields, matching the electromagnetic fields of the body. If we go beyond that, then the body starts to have a shield. It starts to defend against these type of things. But we can see that inside the body, there's an ionic composition of the body fluids, and each of the different minerals has its place in its osmolarity and its volume factors in a normal field. And the osmotic factors can be very important in the capillary action. In fact, it's important in all actions because it's important for every part of the body. And electro-osmosis can happen in the human epigenesis. Here we have a SCIO device, and as we apply a field, all of the different parts of the body electric will work just a little bit better. Here's a little scratch test that we do. You take a scratch and you take your fingernail and make a little item. Make a little scratch there. And then count how many seconds does it take before it turns red. If it takes 8 seconds, that's about normal. Less than that is good. But if it takes more than 10 seconds, then you do not have proper osmosis. And here with the SCIO, we can increase osmosis. We've been able to test this. People hooked up to the SCIO will increase the osmotic action. This actually thereby means that all different actions inside the body will work just a little bit better in this quantum electro-autofocused world, as we're going to be able to charge the cells with more energy. This is a presentation I did at the Hungarian Sport Academy. And people say, well, how does this device work so well and so incredibly well with sports athletes? Well, it does so because by increasing the osmotic action, everything is increased a little bit. Injury rate drops. In other words, people get healed quicker. We've been able to show this in many, many different tests with here Boom Boom Banzini, AC Milan, Chinese Olympic athletes. Flexibility is a little bit increased. We were able to measure this in a major double-blind study. Fractures increased and being able to be healed quicker. Injured tissue responded and healed quicker with the device. Novak Djokovic used the device to help sharpen his abilities and became #1 in the world. The powerlifting team of Hungary used it years and years ago and were able to increase their lifting strength, as the electromagnetic stimulation makes everything a little bit better, and a little bit better means a little bit stronger, faster, a little bit more hand and eye coordination. Here's the book that we had about this in the Injuries in Sports book, which will tell you a little bit more. We did work at Camelford and the toxicity factors, and we published these things starting in 1996 in a peer-reviewed medical journal. I did a presentation at the Nobel Prize Hospital in Sweden on the electromagnetic effects. I did a presentation at the Cancer Congress. Dr. Istvan Bondage and I, we worked together to help define and build some of these fields and how the body can eliminate toxic substances with the help of the SCIO. Many different studies have been done, over 200 different studies, published on all the different ways we were able to do this. Here's just a few of the different studies that were done. One done on 97,000 patients in a double-blind fashion to be able to show how well the device works. Because this makes it a pre-diagnostic device. It's not accurate enough to be so much a diagnostic device. And here a doctor was using it with a comparison of thermographic analysis, had found exactly how well it worked and was astounded. We published this, and this is a certified medical textbook. For the last 40 years, the Trivector has been shown effective. Mass amounts of data, mass amounts of studies, double-blind studies, all showing how well the SCIO works. Double-blind factors, increasing voltage, amperage, resistance, hydration, oxygen, proton pressure, electron pressure. Spanish studies, German studies, a very, very large amount of data over 40 years showing exactly how well the system works. Published not only in studies and in journals, but in medical textbooks. These are certified medical textbooks now used at the University of Timisoara that help to validate fully just what the SCIO does. And the basis of this, its ability to bring in electrons, stabilize electrical processes, and to maximize osmotic action through an auto-focused field that goes in and out of the body through a cybernetic link, producing a maximization of the body electric. I'm Desiree Dubonnet. Hope you enjoyed the presentation.